So you join me today on this rather dull Friday afternoon, Friday the 1st of November 2024. It's dull but dry. We've had a few dry days, a bit misty, foggy in the morning, but the roads essentially are dry. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to get out for a brief ride on the R12 Nine T. It's a little bit muddy around here, so we need to take it a little bit easy on the bends, but generally pretty dry, so ideal. Just a short run today. Probably 30-40 miles. Just in this sort of central northern part of Wiltshire. Haven't planned a particular route. So we'll hang a left at this roundabout, which will take us onto the A4. Once we get out of the town, the road opens up quite nicely. I've recently invested in a couple of new cameras. Two of the Osmo, or the DJI Osmo Action cameras. There's the latest one, the 5 Pro, which is here on the mounted on the helmet, and the one here on the mirror stem is a 3 Osmo DJI Action 3. I also have the DJI Mic 2, which is safely tucked away in the chin section. I think it's on this side actually, of the crash helmet, and that is Bluetooth up to the Osmo 5. As we go around this corner up, well, I'll go past this first one, let's get him out of the way. Thank you for moving over. Here we go. We have the ubiquitous tractor around here. They're bloody everywhere, so we can get past them easy enough. Watch that mud. I think he's deliberately making himself as wide as he possibly can. So one of the other things I need to bring to a conclusion on this little trip is the range of the bike. Bizarrely, the R12 Nine T doesn't have a fuel gauge, which in this day and age is ridiculous, quite hilarious really. I think that's BMW's nod to this being a retro, modern, classic style bike. And of course, bikes in ye olden days didn't have anything as sophisticated as fuel gauges, and it was all about finding out how many miles you could do on a tank of fuel. by resetting the trip counter when you fill up and seeing how far you get, and that's basically what I've done. I don't know if you can see that, but it's currently on 123.7 miles. No sign of the fuel reserve fuel light coming on, although I'm expecting it to come on at some point during this little trip. May not though. Conflicting experiences. If you listen to other people, look at other reviews, anything from sort of low 100s, 110, 120 before the reserve light comes on, and sometimes 40, 50 miles more than that. Obviously it depends very much on how you're riding the bike, your kind of riding style, how progressive you're being, and all the rest of that. So I'm probably fairly average in all of those things. As I say, currently on almost 125. I should imagine it will come on at some point on this trip, but we'll see. What I think I'll do is really just keep going until the fuel light comes on, unless it really gets ridiculous. So if I were to head directly home from here, I think we'd probably be looking at about 20-25 miles. Should be enough to bring that fuel light on, although the longer the better, obviously. So if we get anywhere close to home and it's still not on, we'll make this a slightly longer ride. Quite surprising how many insects are still around this time of year. So here we are, November the 1st, reasonably cold November the 1st, and I'm still getting a good splattering of insects on my visor here. You would have thought by now they'd have pretty much died out, but no such luck. Chopper's Cafe here on the left. It's quite a, looks like it's closed actually. It's quite a popular, very well known biker's cafe. Not sure why they'd be closed on a Friday afternoon. Perhaps it's getting a bit late in the year. Might just be able to get past him before we get the solid white line. Yeah, no problem. Another thing I'm just checking out today, not really a test, it's just a new tail bag which I've purchased this week. So unlike my last couple of bikes, the GS with plenty of luggage options, this rather more simple, compact, naked bike needs a little bit more imagination. So I did have this SW Motech Pro sort of small tank bag on the last bike, so As I said in a previous video, one of the first things I did when I got this bike was got the correct tank ring for this tank, so that I could transfer the tank bag. Absolutely superb bit of kit. And on the back of how good that is, it made me immediately think about SW Motech for the tail bag. So what I ended up getting as a sort of a day bag really is the one that's on the back now. You won't really be able to see it. I'm not sure whether that camera would see it if I lean out of the way, but I'll stick a photograph up or film it a little bit later. And it couldn't be easier in terms of how it fits. Really happy with it. But this is the first ride in anger with it on, so it'll be interesting to see when I get home how secure it still is, and I'm pretty confident it will be very secure. But yeah, big thumbs up for SW Motech. Can't fault their gear. Big hole there. Excuse my French. Suspension on this, not particularly forgiving when you go over something like that. It's really good. I mean, nothing like as sophisticated and comfortable as the GS, of course, but so my reserve light has just come on. You can see probably that little yellow number underneath the road sign. It's for me now to start heading home. What it does on this bike is weirdly it counts up rather than down when it goes on to reserve, to kind of warn you about how far you've actually been pushing it while still on reserve. So we're on 2 miles there. I think that this bike is good for 20 or 30 miles on the reserve. Next fuel station, unless I went out of my way to find one, the next one in Pusey is I don't know, no more than about 5 miles from here, maybe 7. No panic. So that gives me a good indicator. 140 plus reserve, you can get 160, 170 out of a tank, which is excellent really. 16 litre tank on this bike, I think, which is, well, that's I suppose just over 3 gallons, 3.5 gallons in old money. Which is telling me that I'm getting about 50-55 to the gallon, which is exactly in line with what the bike is telling me I'm getting. So yeah, all adds up, all makes sense. bit careful with these little pull-offs on this road. They're not main roads, they're just tracks. Some of them are used by the army. This is on the edge of Salisbury Plain here. Some of them are used obviously by farmers, and I think a few off-roaders, people in their Land Rovers and other 4x4s. But this road surface is absolutely atrocious. You can't really, particularly on a bike like this, you can't really be giving it too much stick along there. It's not even so much the kind of risk of potholes and things, it's just the surface is awful. Don't notice it so much in a car, but it really is horrible. Probably doesn't look it on the camera, and certainly my GS was much less noticeable on the GS. I don't think he could go much slower up there, but on this R12 Nine T, yeah, it does. It's a little bit less forgiving, as I said earlier, on lumpy and uneven roads. This is better. It's resurfaced. Lovely and muddy there. Look, that's where that tractor no doubt has just come from. Petrol station almost in sight. So we've done what, 9 miles on the reserve, so nowhere near running out of fuel. Busy in there as well. Thank you. Sorry. So it's about 135, 137 to be precise, when the reserve light came on. So 146 with what was left in there. I'm going to say probably 160 on a tank. Happy with that. It's back in Bewsey now. Really enjoyable ride today. Quite short. Very gloomy weather, but dry and very, very enjoyable. Come on in. I have to say this bike is by far the most enjoyable bike I've ever owned. Just a beautiful experience riding it.